We need to be grateful in the community. We need to thank people for their contributions. Even if we disagree with what they say, they took the time to do it. I'm not talking about the mean-spirited people. I'm not talking about the people that have AI generating their thoughts. I'm talking about the honest, genuine contributors in our community. Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh Show.
Against my will and against my better judgment, today's episode is the 2025 year in review. I came to the table with nothing as far as topic ideas, and I knew the danger that I was walking into. I knew because Bob had been brewing. Bob had been trying to make this happen for
I have been,
a couple
because
of weeks.
I'm a reflection. I like reflecting. Taking a little time, quiet time to think about what comes up. Like a little flower emerging from the soil.
And I have been, and Bob's been scratching his head trying to figure out what is wrong with me. We've not yet identified what's wrong with me.
I have no idea
why I'm so against this, but we're doing it. Here we are.
Yeah, but you're traumatized, man. Oh my God.
So 2025 year in review. We just simply said we were going to write down things. We didn't even talk about what they are, so we might be on opposite ends of the spectrum. That's kind of how it goes when Bob and I do this. Usually we set that up like, ooh, there's going to be a disagreement, and then by the end we're like, damn it, we agree.
We're pretty aligned, but you never know.
Yeah.
You want me to give it?
Maybe this is the day. This is the time. All right, because I am sure you have more on your list than I do. We're going to have you go first.
I'll give it a start.
Okay.
I'll prime the pump.
Okay.
So the first one for me was the last one I actually wrote down is it's been an awfully hard year, Metacasters.
Yeah.
From a variety of perspectives. This has been the toughest. I've been working in this profession since 1981. So that's 40 plus years, maybe 45, whatever it is, 45 years of work.
Mm-hmm.
This is the worst time I've ever seen it. It's sort of like a convergence, perfect storm between AI, all kinds of things. It's not just, I'm not blaming AI. It's the convergence of stuff, and I don't think people realize it unless you've lost your job or whatever. A lot of people are talking about how good it is or something like that. Maybe outside of technology, but in technology, it's a tough space.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing I want to encourage people to do is to give yourself grace. For example, I see a lot of people they're slogging looking for jobs 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that you're exhausting yourself and depressing yourself and demoralizing yourself in this area. So maybe slice some of that time every day and give yourself grace. The grace to walk in the park, the grace to hug your children, the grace to reflect on what you appreciate. One of the ways to handle these times is to reflect in the morning. What do I appreciate? What are the things that are good in your life, and be specific about that. And there are things, if you think dearly, and focus on those. But as I'm looking back, my heart goes out to so many people that I know, so many great people. Don't lose heart. Part of giving yourself grace is don't lose heart, don't lose conviction, don't think that you're not worthy. You are worth it. This is just a really awful time for finding work, for finances for a lot of people, etc. The other thing is there's a few exceptions out there. Like if you look on LinkedIn, it's almost embarrassed to post the green bar in a LinkedIn, and then everyone posts good news. So you can look at it and say, I'm the only one who's suffering. Don't feel that way. The majority of people are suffering, and I'm just saying you're not alone, and it's not you. So buck up. I'm not even saying 2026 will be better, because I don't know if it'll be better, but I know that you'll come out of this curve. We all come out of these curves, and we come out of it stronger. What is that quote, Josh? That Nietzsche quote, that which does not kill us makes us stronger.
Yep.
But it's so painful. So hearts out to everyone.
Yeah, my first item is the same thing. I titled it 2025 was a year of struggle for many people in many ways. Economy, job market, various things that have come to a confluence to create a situation that's been challenging. Yeah. What I've tried to do and what we've talked about in episodes throughout the year is what I've really invested in. And I'm not saying these are like magic wands, these solve all the problems, because I haven't solved all the problems for me, right? Like the pipeline for my business is slower than it ever was, but I'm working my freaking tail off to try and make that happen. Going through all the emotions and things that Bob had talked about, right? Like Bob's talking through those things. I'm like, yep, know that feeling. Yep, been there. Yep, done that. So things that I've tried, that I've found, have made a difference. I'm not saying they're game changers, but they made a difference for me. So I'm hopeful that sharing can give someone that one thing to try that hopefully opens a door or two for them. I have, and again, we did an episode or two about this. I've really invested in human to human networking. I have a ton of connections in LinkedIn that I've never spoken with, but almost anybody that comes through my network that's new or comments on a piece of content that I've created that looks like we're in the same game, I generally reach out to, and I've created a 20-minute meeting on Calendly that I say, hey, happy to chat. I don't know if we can help each other, but let's spend 20 minutes and try and figure it out. And so that has helped me. That has helped the person on the other side. I have committed to myself and to the people that I've talked to that we would circle back in about a month. I'm not doing it now because it's Christmas time, so trying to have let people do their thing. But I'm going to re-kick that off at the start of the year. I've got a few things that are lined up, and that has made a difference. And I would encourage you to reinvest in that skill. Because that's something that, as we talked about, we did a whole episode about every job that Bob and I have ever landed, except for our first ones, because we didn't have a network, came because somebody we knew helped open a door for us. So invest in that. Consistency was key. Just even when you're not seeing the wins, you got to keep doing the thing. And so that has been the thing that I always have in the back of my head of, okay, got to get up, got to go do this, make it happen. And then the key part of that is working to find those small wins. Those were things along the way that there's a lot of good that happens, just like Bob said. That is a part of the journey. And if you wait to celebrate or find joy or happiness until the race is run, the races take longer than we think. They always do. So this is something for those of you that have been around with the podcast for a long time. You've heard me say this is something I'm always working on, is trying to make sure I find and celebrate those small wins along the way, because it is a slog. And so that's something that's helped buoy me. That was one of my dad's favorite words. He loved to say buoy. It buoys me along the way, along this journey. So yeah.
You look fully buoyed, Josh.
Yes. Yeah. I'm built like a buoy. That's the problem.
I mean, one of the things that I have relates to you, it's like a sub-bullet, it's community. It was one of my hopes under 2026, the hope that people continue to lean into community, and not go it alone. And I still see so many people. I'll use myself. I'll use both of us, but I know I can speak for myself. We've offered connections to us for well over a decade, probably almost for the duration of the Metacast. We've said, give us a ring. Now we pay, we charge for coaching and consulting, but usually we're not offering to charge for it. This is, we're here for you. If I could probably count on my fingers and toes the number of times, maybe just my fingers, how many times people have reached out. So we need to increase that. You need to be reaching out. So it's not just your LinkedIn community but creating community. instigating community. Take some of those hours of submitting resumes and join a community. And try to build your community on LinkedIn, elsewhere, in meetup groups, etc. There's too many lone rangers out there, and that's a really lonely and a bad place for people to be. The other part of it is, and I have a blog post coming up. I'm not sure when I'm going to post it. It'll be in 2026. But I see too many people in the job search. They're like me people. They're find me a job, get me a job, poor pitiful me, and I'm not judging. I'm not picking on you, but where is the other people? And so my blog post is talking about there's you, and then what are you doing to help others? And what I've found is if you focus also not just on finding a job for you, but what can you do to lift up others that you get lifted to? And so start doing that. If you're looking for a job right now, don't just count the hours that you're looking for a job. Count the hours that you're helping other people, that you're reaching out to folks. You're reaching out to me to ask for help and guidance. You're reaching out to Josh. You're reaching out to someone who you saw a post and saying, "Hey, I know how you feel, and I have some ideas to share with you." We need to be lifting each other up, and I don't see enough of that. I don't think it's happening outside of my view. I don't think I'm hallucinating. I really don't see that. And there's reasons for it. There's shyness, there's isolation, there's a lot of reasons for that. Fight through them. Reach out. Community. We need our number one, priority is building community and reaching out to each other. And I want to see that starting now. The holidays there's no better time than the holidays to start helping each other out.
Yeah, both Bob and I have, we believe in you give before you get, and usually it compounds. So we give as much as we can, and we offer as much as we can, and we don't give to get, but we give, and what happens is over time is that pays back. And Bob and I have been doing this for a long time, and we're saying this because we believe in it, because we've seen it, because it's made a difference for us. So I certainly align with that. One of the things that's really bothered me, and I'm not sure how to manage it, and I'm not sure what to do, and I've seen people trying to tackle this problem because other people see it, is that LinkedIn, I believe, is part of the problem. LinkedIn has a lot of vanity style metrics and posts and things like that, where connections on LinkedIn aren't of great value, right? Which is why I'm trying to reach out to those humans and connect with them to turn that record in a database that says Josh knows this person, but maybe they've never talked. Like, I'm trying to transform that into something of value for me and that person, as opposed to like, oh yeah, you can search and see that Josh knows Susie. Great. But that isn't really anything. So that's why, again, like, I've really invested into trying to reach out and speak with those to try and turn that into something. I was on a walk with my youngest son yesterday, and we were talking about, he's 16, right? And we were talking about what he wants to do in college. I'm like, dude, you're 16. You don't have to have the answers. You don't even have to know what you want to do. He's like, yeah, but there's all this pressure. Like, you see all this stuff on social media about this kid that's 12 that's making $1 million a week and blah, blah, blah. And like, well, but is that even real? Like, we don't know that. And is that kid happy? Sure, that looks good through one lens, but there's also all of these other things. And so even for our next generation of people that are coming into the workforce, they're already struggling with that just in school, because you see that, there's a ton of good content on LinkedIn, and then there's a ton of content that is the traditional social media thing of, hey, look at me. And so that is beneficial because sometimes it shares a story with some people, but also it starts to set a bar that maybe isn't even real or isn't even possible, which is why one of the things I've tried to do with the content that I create and I post on there is I make sure it is 100% backed from a thing that happened in my life, right? As opposed to just telling a story, right? There are no more stories. There are, this is what happened, this is what I did, this is what I learned, this is what I struggled with, right? Because I want to make sure that people know that it's coming from me and it's an actual experience and hopeful something that they can take something from it. Because there is a lot of noise out there to try and work through. And I think that's part of the challenge. And again, there are a few things, we talked about in an episode or two ago about having a solutions versus problems and saying that, like I want to find a way to fix that, but I don't have an answer. So, but maybe somebody will figure it out. There's lots of smart people out there.
I mean, one thing I think switching subjects a little bit is, and this is event Metacasters, this is a heavy bandwagon. 2025 has been this jump on a bandwagon kind of year from my perspective. The obvious one for me is the AI bandwagon. And so there's normalizing to AI. Josh has written about this. There's value in AI, but then there's everyone has become an AI expert. They're selling classes. There's this freaking enthusiasm around AI, and everyone's trying to make a dollar from it, or a lot of people are trying. Newsletters. I get this stuff. Just you see it on LinkedIn. So it's the bandwagon. But I also see it in Agile. People now, because PMI acquired the Agile Alliance, there's now this youthful enthusiasm where people are jumping on the PMI, Agilists are jumping on the PMI bandwagon, still being Agile, but for 20 years they poo-pooed the PMI, and now all of a sudden, oh, it's fantastic. This is the magic elixir. When we haven't really learned from our errors, we're still not addressing leadership. We're still not addressing the topics that to Josh and my credit, I guess, we've stayed the course. It's still leadership. Success in Agile is still a leadership.
Yeah.
Success in organization is still a leadership play. It's not a class play or a certification play. It's a get in the trenches with leaders and work with them. And I still, this PMI Agile Alliance is still not doing that. They're looking at other certs and things. The point is, I think, is watch out for the bandwagons. And this isn't just crotchety old Bob saying it. It is. I'm crotchety old Bob. But at the same time, look out there. This is probably, again, in my 40 plus years, this is probably the strongest bandwagon-itis I've ever seen. And the problem is you can fall into, you can join it, and there's aspects of it that are going to fail, right? Like AI is not going to replace human beings. We need skills and things like that. So I guess what I'm suggesting is center yourself, right? Look, sort of center yourself and isolate yourself from the crazy. Josh does a good job of this. Personal investigation. Don't listen to what everyone's saying. Do some things. There are some people out there. Marco Braun is running some experiments and writing code. Josh has done that. Do some of the, if you're interested, do some of those experiments on your own. I'm experimenting with writing and supplement my writing and things, but it's not replacing me. So follow people who are actually doing things like that. But don't get sucked in. It really is. It's sort of a maelstrom. And I just wanted to say maelstrom. So it's this maelstrom, and it's sucking you in. It's like a black hole. So be careful.
Yeah, I can speak to that directly. That was my next topic, and there's a couple other bullet points that I have. But as far as the bandwagon and the maelstrom, it can suck you in, just as Bob talked about. I wrote a piece about a 3-month experiment that I did on AI. And what I learned and going all in and everything and validated against some other data. And that is the most popular post I've ever written. And it's not even freaking close. And I thought about it and I said, oh my gosh, should I capitalize on this? Should I write more AI? Should I do the thing? So I understand people and brands and companies that are out there that are getting a response different than they have on all of the other content they've created. Like, we have to go all in on AI because that's what people want. And so I understand that because I had that discussion with myself and I said, do I shift all my content to this? And I ultimately chose not to because of my writing style and the stories I try and tell. I force myself to, again, as I said, make them be actual things I've done and experience I've had. And so that just takes time. So I could have doubled down and, you know, taken that article and split it, whatever. There are things I could have done, but I chose not to. Is it the best monetary choice? Probably not. But I felt better about myself. And so that's a thing that I try and do, so that's a thing there. And that's a challenge. I understand people in the year of the struggle that there's this thing that comes along and they can grab on and it can be the thing that saves them. But I do fear it's a short-term save versus a long-term save, which is really what I see is happening, is that there's an evolution of use and we are learning and growing and everything. So I actually have a piece that I'm writing that probably won't come out until 2026. I feel like Bob, like that's the most Bob thing I've ever said, I think, is this third article on AI and how I see it, how I use it, the way I'm planning on using it in the coming year. But it is the most fast-paced amount of change I've ever seen in my 25 years of being in tech. And tech is so much faster in adopting and growing and changing than any other space that I've ever seen. And so now this is that and then some. So I think 26 is going to be even more change. So buckle up. People are going to double down. There are going to be grandiose things said. And I really would encourage you to take the time and invest and experiment and understand what's real and what's not, because there is a real money grab that's out there. So I encourage you to do whatever you can and try and figure out what's real and what's a money grab.
I can't help but plus one to what Josh said about 2026. It's like hunker down, everyone. Get ready, hunker down. If you're out of work, it's going to be hard. It's going to be equally hard. If you're trying to learn things, it's going to be just as crazy as it's been, if not more crazy. The political landscape is going to be volatile. The economic landscape is going to be volatile as well. We're not going to get this miraculous recovery at the beginning of 2026. So it's going to be a tough year. I'm not trying to defeat you. It's work on your resilience, work on your community building, work on your connections, continue to believe in yourself. This resilience, the internal resilience, I think is a key for all of you. One thing I wanted to say is my first Substack post in 2026. It's on January 5th. It's the only thing I have scheduled. I have a ton of writing in the queue, but the only one I have scheduled is I'm quitting the Scrum Alliance, and I'm tired of the Scrum Alliance. I'm tired of their direction from a coaching perspective. So I have my farewell message is the first message coming out. I've let all my certifications with the Scrum Alliance expire. The only thing I'm keeping is my CEC Emeritus. I don't pay for it anyway, and I earned it. So I unapologetically, I freaking earned it over a long time. But other than that, I'm not going to speak at Scrum Alliance events. I'm not going to support them. I'm not going to support their coaching. There's good people in the Scrum Alliance, but the leadership in the Scrum Alliance sucks. And that relates to something else, is like the certification mill. I see that slowing down. The value of the certifications. AI is sort of competing with even the certifications from the point of view of what difference does it make? What difference does that certification make? So if you're into certifications, be careful where you put your money. Put your money, like I would say, don't invest in institutions. Invest in the people who are teaching things. Mm-hmm. Invest in me. I'm teaching a master class. This is not a commercial, but if you want, invest in me teaching my knowledge, sharing my knowledge in the master class over what letters do you get? Because I think the value of those letters is diminishing. It's always been related to the instructors, but it's just, just be very careful where you put your hard-earned money or your hard-earned savings. A lot of people, when they're out of work, are taking classes. And that's not a bad strategy, but some of them are investing a lot of money. I've cut the cost of my masterclass by 90%. So again, the only reason I say it, Josh and I don't just sit here and pontificate. We actually put our money where our mouth is. We put our time where our mouth is over and over again. We've done it for the entire time we've been metacasting. So just an announcement of retiring from that, and I'm not going to acquire any certs. I am going to classes. I just don't care about the letters anymore. I care about the learning and the knowledge, and then I care about applying it in the real world.
Yeah, I want to second that. So I learn by doing, and YouTube is my best teacher right now. And there have been many new technologies and tools, and some of the AI leverage that I've picked up over the past few months is because there are other people that are doing what I do, that are publishing content or live streaming or doing all of these various things, and they're great. And it's free, and I can queue it up whenever I want, and I can pause it and rewind it. Like that's how I learn, because I'm a big believer in learning by doing. So I work right alongside them, and they're building a product or project, and I do the same thing with them. And that has been immensely powerful in my growth and my capability to keep up with all of the new technologies and things that have come along. And so when money's tight, there's a ton of good creators that are out there that I know people are publishing content out there. And if you need recommendations or anybody that I found value in, or just anything, if you want to reach out, or like, hey, Josh and Bob, can you create some content around this? Like, we're happy to entertain those thoughts and figure out. Again, Bob and I want to help. It's hard to help when people aren't asking for help. So Bob and I try and queue up things we think are going to make a difference. But if there's something you would like to see, reach out to us. Leave a comment on a video, anything. There are a bajillion ways to get in touch with us. So we are here to help. There are other people that are helping, that are out there, that are not requiring payment. So we encourage you to do that.
Final thing from my point of view, I'm just scanning my lists and my notes, is gratitude. I talked about appreciations earlier, and maybe that's the sandwich for me for this Metacast, is ramp up your gratitude, or have that gratitude journal that you maintain for yourself. But I want you to extend gratitude to people. There's that old adage that's true, that no one thanks leaders. Leadership is a thankless job sometimes. So when someone comes up to me and says, Bob, I really appreciate your leadership on that rare occasion or whatever, it just warms my heart. It just when someone reads something I did and I get it, and they take the time to write an email that says, thank you for that. That touched me at a time where I was in the same boat, and it made me feel like I wasn't alone. And these are rare occasions that happen. But when that does happen, it just warms my heart. It makes what I do worthwhile. What I'm challenging everyone to do is, into 2026 and beyond, part of community building is being grateful for the people in the community. Part of community building is let them know that you appreciate them. I don't know how often someone has said thank you to Josh, but people should be thanking Josh Anderson for his journey, not because he wants it, but because he deserves it. He has earned it. And that reciprocal thank you, right? So asking for help and then thank you and then giving it, that to me is community. There's not enough of that. For billions of reasons, there's not enough of that. Maybe time is the one, or thoughtfulness and time. I want to challenge all of you listening to this. Josh, put this in the notes somehow, maybe have a snippet of it. We need to be more grateful in the community. We need to thank people for their contributions. Even if we disagree with what they say, they took the time to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the mean-spirited people. I'm not talking about the people that have AI generating their thoughts. I'm talking about the honest, genuine contributors in our community. Get off your ass and say thank you if they've done something that you found value, and the people that you're doing, expect them to do that as well. We need to have this raise the bar for gratitude in our community, which will then raise the level of energy in that community, and we need that.
Yeah, my last point that I want to make is I'm going to channel my inner Gary V. So anybody that knows Gary V, you probably know what's coming. Yes, 2025 was challenging. Yes, there's lots of struggle. Yes, 2026 has the potential to be very similar. But think about the time in which we live and the opportunities that we have, the access we have to information and knowledge and people willing to share. If you were to roll back the clock a couple hundred years, your capability to drastically change your income today versus a couple hundred years ago is infinitely more. You have all the tools, you have all the capability, it's there. Is it easy? No, but it exists. The opportunity is there. You have the chance to make whatever change you want. Everything is at your fingertips with everything we've talked about, from the classes to YouTube to this podcast to whatever you're reading out there, anything that's out there. So much information to help you go and grow wherever you want to be or become. It's there. You're going to have to work your tail off to make it happen. But we all, in the year of 2025, 2026, whenever you're listening to this, the opportunity for you to have access to whatever you need to make happen. If it's more money, if it's a new job, if it's happiness, whatever it is, it's there. It's out there. You're gonna have to roll up your sleeves. You're gonna have to work hard. You're gonna ask for help and support, and things are gonna be uncomfortable. But that's part of the journey, right? Great magical things don't happen just because. They happen because of hard work, people putting in effort consistently. And it's all there for us, for all of us. You know, I've talked to some members of my family, like, well, why don't you just go get a regular job, Josh? Why don't you go be a VP of whatever? Like, well, this is the choice I made. And I recognize that this is a difficult, challenging road, but this is the choice that I made. And it is what I believe is the right path for me. And I'm going to figure it out. Is the path exactly how I imagined it? No, but I can tell you, I'm going to get there. I don't know when. I don't know exactly how, but it's going to happen because it's all there for me. And you are in that exact same mode.
So Metacasters, drop in the mic. We're here for you. Bob@rgalen.com.
Josh.Anderson@Kazi, KAZI.io.
Right. Come to Agile-Moose, and there's a Calendly link to grab time on my calendar.
Yep.
So you can grab time. We're here. No bullshit, no sales. We're here to help. You have to reach out. The cost of admission for me, and I think Josh, is then help someone else as well. Right. What do we do to lift this in this really challenging time? What do we do to be heavy lifters? And that's where I'll leave it. So from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina.
And beautiful downtown Fuquay, Arena, North Carolina.
I'm Bob, the heavy lifter, Galen.
And I'm Josh, the slightly less heavy lifter, Anderson.
Shake
and bake.
Take care, y'all.